Holly Golightly defined melancholy brightly with the face of a megawatt doll on a live metaphor who thought 9 to 5 was a baseball score. Every phrase she uttered was glazed with butter, and the allure was unlawful, for you could pour her voice on a waffle. She tarried in the mind like honey, but if you married her, you would have to find more money. The cabaret in her bonnet turned Broadway into a sonnet, and she morphed into euphoria at the Waldorf Astoria, where the white gefilte fish was quite Vanderbiltish. But the New York steak now got so thin, she thought the cow was from Brooklyn. And you see, only the cat knew that if she was Luna, he was through with tuna. It was then in this famed novella when oysters became Rockefeller, and the ode was thus melodious. As Holly tilted her Vanderbilted head and said, the Dutch missed a clutch on a bay to China and ended up at a Broadway diner where they didn't serve ham or pork, and that's how New Amsterdam became New York. The Big Apple's throne of fiction grappled with its own diction, as she'd later see when a waiter asked, "Are you talking to me?" Nevertheless, departing echoes of the effervescent Art Deco lingered in bars with singers and stars, drinking martinis and thinking of Fellini, iotas above quotas in the strata of data. For somewhere between stock roulette and the figurine roquettes, there were tall, fleeting minutes to have, from Wall Street to Fifth Ave. That is, until high check went Microsoft and sent a check to Madoff. The storybook of Holly took inventory on a trolley, drifting bereft, with only 4 shoplifting days till Christmas left. But in the game of Catch Me If You Can, she became Lindsay Lohan, and ad hoc no refrain took everything that wasn't locked or chained. Though tomorrow's rent was owed, borrowed, and spent, the cast of her transcendent epiphanies had breakfast at Tiffanys. But she should have then made a right turn at the height of her tawdry sojourn, for she could have been Audrey Hepburn. She then wore a G-string to visit men at Sing Sing, but a lot of criminals got subliminal. For implanted melons enchanted the felons, yet she was immune to such queasy mirth, for it was much easier to get water balloons at Woolworth's. The Follies danced at Club 21 as Holly refinanced fun amid the gilded organs of J.P. Morgan's. And though nostalgia burned a fleeing light, there'd be no return flight, because Holly came to town hunting, and even if it was 4th down, she wasn't punting. Alas, she got her Donald Trump, quite debonair, despite that ski jump on his hair. But he was high society, and she didn't exactly fly with sobriety. So you see, her frolic with socialite uppers got to be symbolic after supper, and she never got to pick a wedding ring, forgetting that a Bolshevik cannot marry a king. Yet she dismembered regret as she and the cat remembered what embers to forget. And Holly beckoned to learn, for folly may not get a second turn. She ate at Burger King amidst the skyscrapers downtown, but didn't cling to the fate of a paper crown. And she never took the free cookies because she didn't want to look like Snooki. But folly had choreographed Holly's ironclad path, and willed it would not relent like a Chrysler Building hood ornament. She tilted her Vanderbilted head and said if Cleopatra had been a minx at home, the Sphinx would then be in Rome. For her ballad burned so incandescing, she turned Caesar into a salad dressing. Holly's book of no refrain took a trolley train to splendor aglow by a vendor who fried dough beside a Tiffany window. And here was her sought aristocrat, as she almost forgot the cat. The allure of her voice opened the door to his Rolls Royce, and it was sunny side up with money on a prenup, as Holly went from a tent to a palace, and they hadn't yet invented Cialis. Holly now sat in awe with pleated silk and clover, and golly, the cat somehow saw that heated milk was over. Burned beef Wellington for 2 turned a leaf into Ellington's Rhapsody in Blue. And that morn she gave away the cat who was born stray. But Holly Golightly who saw melancholy brightly, tilted her Vanderbilted head, and in the aesthetic tense of her poetic license, she said, "This cat is a fickle, sublime metaphor. I got him behind a nickel-dime store on a Mulberry dead end, yet au revoir, my huckleberry friend." The cat got sentimental in its eyes, but that thought had been compartmentalized, because fate's appalling moral was that all soulmates were temporal. And so Holly said, "Though I go where folly led, come what may, if someday he hears a familiar tune and quivers, give him a spoonful of liver and always play Moon River."